there. Welcome to your local Forcecast. These are your anchors, Morgan
and Austin.
Welcome back to the Forcecast. We hope you've been enjoying our episodes thus far. I know we've enjoyed doing it. It's really been a lot of fun kind of talking about the stuff that we enjoy and also to have friends on the show also. Really quick before we get into everything, I just want to give a quick shout out to Paul, my husband. I know I've talked about him a little bit, but yesterday on the 9th, we celebrated our 3rd wedding anniversary. So that's exciting. I don't know if you can hear, but Austin's clapping.
I'm clapping. The microphone picks up a lot of things.
All right, so let's get started with our On This Day segment. We're going to start with Lord of the Rings today. Honestly, though, there's not a whole lot other than it just says snow on Carathras. I pronounced it right this time.
Yes, you did.
But basically, it's just the time that the Fellowship spent on Carathras, which, if you're not very good with names and stuff like that in Lord of the Rings, that is the snowy mountain that they ended up on, and later there was an avalanche caused by Saruman. So yeah, so basically on this day, and actually over the next couple of days, was just the Fellowship spending time on that mountain. Austin, what do you have for us for Star Wars?
Well, not today, but tomorrow, the 11th, principal photography begins in England at Pinewood Studios for Revenge of the Jedi. You heard that correctly. Revenge of the Jedi.
I was about to ask, did you read that right?
I did read that correctly because Return of the Jedi was originally titled Revenge of the Jedi.
That I did not know.
Yeah, there you go. It was originally entitled Revenge of the Jedi, but I think they changed it because they're like, well, I don't think revenge is the Jedi way. Eventually we got Revenge of the Sith, but of course...
Is that where they pulled that name idea from?
Potentially.
Is the original title?
Potentially.
Most interesting.
Yep, so yeah, Revenge of the Jedi began filming this day in 1982. Eventually to be called Return of the Jedi. Also, to be heavily changed in the story aspect. Han Solo was supposed to die. It was supposed to be more of a bleak ending than the happy one we know today.
Happy?
Destruction of the Empire.
Oh, you're talking the end of Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi. Destruction of the Death Star. You know, the big
I thought you were talking about the end of Han Solo. I was like, that was not happy at all. That makes more sense. My bad.
No, not the end of The Force Awakens.
Yes, no, I like the ending on Endor and the Ewoks and the dancing much better.
I kind of like the original idea for Return of the Jedi.
To each their own.
It's supposed to be more like a Western movie.
Yeah, we got that in Solo.
Not so much.
They said it was supposed to be like a Western, though.
It kind of was at the end.
That's it?
That's all I got for today. All the interesting stuff.
Doesn't happen until next week.
Yeah, the interesting stuff happens next week. You'll see what I mean next week. Next Thursday's episode.
Okay. All right. So today our topic is going to be the TV show Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
It was incredibly off-key, but...
Well. But yeah, tonight on...
Tonight.
Wrong show. Tonight on the 10th was the premiere of the new season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which first we want to say so glad that it got picked up again.
Very glad.
And we're happy that there's new episodes. However, we were disappointed at the end of it when we realized we can't go on to the next episode and binge watch.
Yes. We came into the show late, you see. Having learned of it from seeing a video of Jake Peralta's I Want It That Way criminal lineup.
I know I posted a link to that video before. I'll post a link again in case you still haven't seen it.
Honestly, so funny. It's funnier now that we know the character that Andy Samberg plays, but...
Oh, yeah.
We came into the show late, so we binged through it, the first 5 seasons. And we heard, of course, that it was picked up again, and we were happy that it is coming back. Such a funny show.
Can't get enough of it.
Yes. I will say I probably had set my expectations too high for this episode, though. It was good. I really liked it.
Yeah.
I expected a little more out of it, but...
Like what? What'd you expect?
I don't know. I just thought it to be a lot funnier. It was still funny. Still liked the episode. I think I just had my expectations a little too high.
Well, I
Plus,
mean,
there's still a whole season left.
Yeah, it's still just the beginning. There's plenty of humor to come.
Oh, of course.
And that's just it. I think with any show, like, each season kind of starts off, like, kind of okay. And then, it gets better as it goes. I mean, it wasn't bad. It had still plenty of humor.
Oh, yeah, it was great. And great just to see the characters return and kind of a, return to form of the way the show worked, the writing. Good to see the characters come back. Theme music's the same, so is the opening intro. Still not changed that. 6 seasons. I've never seen a show. Maybe not so. Maybe that might be true. 6 seasons in the show has not changed.
The theme usually stays the same, but yeah, the intro montage.
Not changed. Mostly because I don't think the actors have changed that much. They stayed pretty much the same.
Pretty much.
It's not like Cosby Show, where every season the kids look very
different.
much older.
Or if you're like Denise and you're changing your hairstyle every episode.
But still, it was very funny. It was just full of just this classic kind of Brooklyn Nine-Nine humor, which I don't really know how to describe, really. Slightly topical, but also just straight comedy that's just funny.
And there's honestly a couple bits of character development. I don't want to say anything, obviously, to spoil anything.
For those of you who have not seen it or haven't even seen the show.
But there were a couple parts in the show that I noticed that there was some pretty significant character development. There was one moment where I literally went, okay, I did not see that coming.
Yep. They also did do that a lot. They actually kind of pulled a couple over on you that maybe some were expecting, but I didn't expect it.
Yeah, about the same. But yeah, still just pretty much as funny as ever. Like I said, maybe could have been a little funnier, but honestly, it had the comedy, and that's what Brooklyn Nine-Nine is.
It'll pick up,
it'll pick up, definitely.
Yeah. And
it left on a pretty good note, a good
setup for the rest of the season.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, I've got something in my throat today. I don't know what's up.
It's all good. But yeah, so if you're a fan of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, you haven't seen the premiere yet, go watch it. Set it up on your DVR or find it probably anywhere online. There's on Hulu, stuff like that.
I don't know if it's on Hulu yet.
Well, maybe not like right now, but I'm sure like in a day or two it'll probably be up on Hulu.
We don't know yet.
But yeah, if you're a fan of the show, go see the premiere. It's great, and it's just good to have these characters back.
Oh yeah, very good show.
That's the most we can say about the show without getting too specific and spoilery.
We don't want to spoil it. And in the future, if you want us to do more reviews of stuff that we've seen, and you would like us to go more in detail and maybe give some spoilers, let us know. That way we can just give a spoiler alert ahead and be able to talk more openly and freely about this, because otherwise these conversations can be pretty short, like this one we're having right now.
Yeah, I know we said earlier we're not going to be entirely spoiler free. But, I don't know, for this one we just felt...
We can control this one.
Yeah, we can control this one.
It's less to talk about. I mean, it's a 30-minute episode, 20 minutes total with commercials.
True.
So it's a lot easier to keep things under wraps.
Or if you did see it and you want, to talk about it with us, maybe, talk about anything that you liked or the character development that I mentioned. If you want to get into specifics, you can... message us on Facebook, comment on our post or our YouTube link, or send us an email at forcecast327@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on either the new episode or even just the show in general, which is now what we're going to get into, is just talk about what we love about Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Which, like Austin said, we discovered it through that YouTube video of Jake Peralta and the I Want It That Way scene. So funny, and I just remember thinking, what is this show? Like, it just seems so funny.
Well, I remember seeing commercials for it, like, around Super Bowl time when it first aired, kinda, I remember. But I never really watched them. I just remembered it was, Andy Samberg, cop. So I figured it was, of course, a cop comedy. It was going to be a little goofy. Didn't see much else on it. That's really the last I remember of it until seeing that video.
Well, and I would be on Tumblr, and every once in a while I'd see... like a gift set actually of Captain Holt, and I just remember like kind of the same thing. I'm just like, who is this character? Like I saw he was like totally blank faced and saying these like kind of funny lines, and I'm just sitting there going, what? I was confused and curious.
Show, of course.
Well, and I never knew it was from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. There wasn't always like tags with it.
I guess that makes sense.
And then when we started watching it, I was like, oh, that's where this comes from.
Yeah. Honestly, getting into Brooklyn Nine-Nine, always one is just a really funny show, but it's got a whole different bunch of kinds of humor. There's like silly humor, sometimes there's like kind of nerdy humor, sometimes a little more adult
we
humor.
appreciate the nerdy humor.
Yeah, so sometimes a little more adult humor. Not a whole lot of it.
That's what's nice about it, is there's some adult humor, but it's very, very sparse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Mom read an article that the writers were saying that NBC gives them more liberty to do more things than Fox did, but they, for the most part, want to try to keep the writing the same.
Which I'm glad for that.
Mostly because they know there's a big kind of family following of the show. Mm-hmm. And also because changing a lot of the humor and things like that would probably change some of the characters and the way they worked. And it's like, there's nothing that's happened that would drastically change.
And it would probably do something to the ratings, you'd think. Because it'd be like, this is completely different writing. These aren't the characters.
Yeah, and that's one thing. Fans like their shows to be consistent. No one likes it when all of a sudden... sometimes. Depends on how the show is. When the show just drastically changes from one thing that it was, or just, I guess, to one thing that it wasn't. If it's a slow, dramatic thing over time, that's different. You can say that with Rebels and Clone Wars. It definitely changed over time. Mm-hmm. But I'm not talking about Star Wars tonight. But hey, it's in the logo. I gotta bring it up, But yeah, I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine because of just the different kinds of humor and just and the different diversity of the characters. Not just racially, because that's actually one of the big points of the show. You have two Latina cops, two black cops, but the one thing I really like about it is that that's a kind of a big deal in the show, but it's not a huge deal. It's not the basis of everything, every interaction. It's not the basis of all their humor.
Like, there was only one episode that I can remember, like, specifically where something happened to Sergeant Jeffers or Terry.
Terry Crews.
Well, yeah, Terry Crews. Love him.
His name's actually Terry in the show, so it's funny.
But there's only one that I can remember off the top of my head where something happened to him specifically because...
Racial profile.
Yeah, because he was black. But that pretty much doesn't ever happen again.
The only one that really does happen, the only one that does bring it up more often is Captain Holt, who's the other black member of the cast, because he is a black gay cop. And that's pretty much part of his entire character and how much he built... of himself to work through the NYPD, because he's an older cop, he's the captain, and so he had to work his way through the 1980s, 1990s NYPD that was racist and prejudiced towards gays, and had to work his way through that, and that's a big part of his character. But it's never so much in your face about it.
No, it's not. They don't shove it down your throat.
And it's not the basis of everything that's about him and about the other characters. Like, that's one thing I like about two of the two females, actually, the two women on the show. Well, I guess two of the three. I forget about Gina.
For good reason.
Are Latina. I guess, is that the proper word for it? Hispanic, Latina. I don't really know, but call me racist. But but that's not the basis of everything in their interaction. Is that they're Well, and even Diaz and Santiago. But I don't think it's ever been brought up about their.
Well, and Rosa even had an episode where she came out as bisexual, and
that was a big deal for a lot of the fans too, actually.
Which I don't know why, but that surprised me. I'm not sure why.
That's surprising, and it's just something you never really got from the character.
But again, it's like it was a big deal for maybe an episode or two, and mostly it was just because she wanted to tell her parents about it, and so that was kind of the basis of an episode. But then that was it, and and couple episodes after that, a couple of the other characters are trying to set her up with girls.
It was Terry. Well, I guess Gina tried to as well.
Yeah, Terry and Gina, which that was totally fine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Is like it does it in a way that we appreciate. That it's it's part of the show, but it's not all in your face about it. It's not.
It doesn't get overly political.
It's not overly political. It's not too preachy about one thing or another, and. It's just, that's one of the things I appreciated, that you're just still able to watch it, not, either feel guilty or get mad or get all, like, super self-righteous about it. It's just a show that you can watch and enjoy. And
it's all around fun.
And I have never seen a negative Brooklyn Nine-Nine post. Being in the Star Wars fandom, I see negative stuff all the time about everything. I love Nine-Nine because you can just get on the internet and, hey, everyone just loves the show because it's an amazing show. It's funny. It's got heart. It's got a lot of heart to it.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of my favorite parts about it.
Like, it's not just, like, slapstick comedy or just all-around silliness. Like, there is, there's depth to it. There's depth to the characters. There's heart, like you said. You know, and you form a connection with these different characters in different ways.
And honestly, the main couple, Jake Peralta and Amy Santiago, spoiler alert, have the best on-screen chemistry I think I've ever seen from a couple in anything. That might just be me, but honestly, their chemistry is through the roof.
Oh yeah,
it's amazing. Like that's one of my favorite. I mean, it's just the way they play off each other is just. It seems so natural. It seems so real and authentic.
Oh yeah.
Really, I mean, I root for a lot of people. We're gonna talk about this on Valentine's Day. We're gonna talk about our ships, our OTPs that they have them
from all sorts of different fandoms and what have you.
Yeah, but this is honestly one of my favorites because of just how well they play off each other and how much you really root for them.
And I mean, I have to talk about this, and again, spoiler if you haven't seen the show, but throughout the show, they have a couple episodes where on Halloween, Jake and the captain have this bet, you know.
Well, everyone eventually gets involved.
Yeah, and eventually everyone gets involved, and it just gets crazier and crazier every year. To the point where...
It's a heist where someone has to steal something from the other, or...
Yeah, they plan a heist and have to steal something from the other, and then...
it's honestly the funniest episodes of the show.
And what's the award they get? Or the reward, whatever?
Well, it was originally... greatest detective / genius.
That's right.
Or, yeah, but then it's just greatest human / genius because of Gina.
But anyway, yeah, they get crazier and crazier every year to the point where on Halloween, like, nobody trusts anybody. They believe everybody's on the opposite side. They're trying to trick them, whatever.
And it's just really funny.
So anyway, I think the most recent one. Yeah, the most recent heist episode that they had in their latest season, pretty much like Jake and Amy through most of it were kind of against each other in a playful way. And then... they had to find this big, like, you know, wrestling belt as part of the heist. Mm-hmm. And Amy finds it.
And it had greatest human / genius written on it.
Yeah, it had greatest human / genius. And she kind of started to get braggy about it, but then Jake was like, there's more, you need to read it. And he kind of just had this defeated look. And then suddenly she just reads aloud, Amy Santiago, will you marry me? And I was shocked.
This is literally, you did not see it coming.
There was, like, no hint that this was going to happen. You just thought it's just a crazy heist episode again. It's going to be fun. It's going to be funny to see what tricks everyone has up their sleeves. We did say spoiler alert.
Just to let you know, we did say spoiler alert.
Yeah, we are spoiling. But, like, I was shocked. I literally gasped out loud, like, wait, did she just say... And then it pans around to Jake, who's already on one knee with a ring. And I honestly thought, like, I've seen a lot of television and movie proposals that I just think are cute and adorable. I'll save those for later because I gotta talk about, you know, some of them later. But that one just completely caught me off guard. Because at least with some of them, there is build up to it. And maybe you see it coming eventually. There was no hint to that one at all. And that's just part of why I really liked that. And I actually started crying. I cry at a lot of things.
Cries.
Well, I cry at a lot of things, but I meant to say... I haven't cried at a like TV or movie proposal ever, even ones that I find extremely romantic. But that one just caught me so off guard that I started crying. I'm like, this is the cutest moment ever. And, you know, Jake was so genuine. There was like, a little bit of his humor, like for one teeny second. But he was just so completely genuine, and it was so sweet.
Yeah, and our mom, she has watched a lot of, you know, sitcoms and, like soap operas and drama shows and all that stuff. And she says, the one thing you can always see, you always know the proposal is coming. I mean, like, in shows like Psych, when he was going to propose to Juliet.
Spoiler. That was
a, big build-up. Like, that was a potential, purposefully big build-up. Like, they let the audience know it was going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a build-up to it. And eventually it was the final episode. But, it's one of the things you can always see it coming. Mom said, honestly, you did not see this one coming because there was no mention of it in the episode. There was no build-up.
There was no aside, like, hey, I'm going to propose to Amy secretly. Nothing.
There's none of that. And then it just happens. And it's just and it goes from, like, funny and kind of intense and kind of dramatic, but, in a Brooklyn Nine-Nine sort of way, to all of a sudden just mood changes immediately. just this really sweet scene between the characters that you love and you.
I was as shocked as Amy was.
It was such a great moment.
I loved that.
Such a nice moment in the show, and it has a lot of moments like that actually between characters and between friends.
There's a lot of really touching, heartfelt moments. I mean, and frankly, with this show, it is so hard to choose a favorite character. In a lot of shows, you can be like, oh yeah, this person's my favorite, hands down. It's hard for me to choose a favorite in this one, because a lot of them are just, they're great in their own way, or insanely funny. I mean, really, if I had to pick, I'd probably have to say Terry. Mostly just because Terry Crews is, he's just one heck of a guy. He's Terry Crews.
Terry Crews. I mean, literally, I've always said this. I want to see Dwayne Johnson and Terry Crews have a smile off, like on national television, like as big as the Super Bowl. See who can outsmile the other one. Because they have the biggest, whitest, like most happiest smiles I've ever seen on a human being. Dwayne Johnson and Terry Crews. I've also never seen a person with more face muscle, with more muscles in general than Terry Crews. Like muscles that we don't even know exist on Terry Crews.
If you want to see the power of Terry Crews' muscles, there's a video out there on YouTube where he literally makes like machines and different things move just by flexing his muscles. I'll find the link and I'll post it.
Pardon me. Also,
it's like, how did they even get him to do that?
It's Terry Crews. He does.
Well, like, how do you even approach him? Do you want to make a video where you're making a bunch of things, do random stuff with your muscles all over your body?
The same way I think Nolan North approached him and asked if he wanted to have a 4-hour Dungeons and Dragons session to post on YouTube. That's also a video you can look up. I don't know if it's Nolan North or Troy Baker, but there's a big voice actor gamer who plays Dungeons and Dragons with Terry Crews for about 4 hours.
Matt Mercer's in it too.
In that video?
I think. If I'm thinking of the same one you were.
Spencer told me about it, and I remember he just mentioned Nolan North.
Well, it popped up on my YouTube, and I kind of hovered over, and the first face that popped up was Matt.
He also paints. He's just a great guy. Terry Crews is an amazing human being.
Well, it's also because, like, he was,
He's a football player.
Okay, football. I was going to say wrestler, but I'm like, no, that's not right.
No,
yeah, like, he did football, and he's done acting. I'm pretty sure he can sing, but I'm not entirely sure.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I wouldn't surprise me, yeah. Yeah, and he paints and all sorts of stuff. And he plays D&D. That just makes him even cooler in our eyes.
He's all in all he's just a great human being.
And he was the Old Spice guy.
He was one of the Old Spice guys. Although, no offense to Terry. Terry, I love Terry and everything. I prefer the original, I don't remember how many Old Spice guys there have been.
Hello, ladies.
That guy. I prefer that guy. I forget his name.
Look at your man. Now back to me.
Isn't like Isaiah or something?
I actually don't even know his name.
He has a cool name. Like,
I just know him as the Hello Ladies Old Spice guy.
He has a name that fits his face. Like, he has a name that fits his face.
Well, I remember when they had the
crossover with two
the
funniest Old Spice commercials that never needed to go away that for some reason have, were Terry Crews and that guy.
Basically, like, trying to outdo each other with their different
in the style of their own commercials.
Terry Crews popping out and yelling.
Because the original guys was all about, like, camera trickery and practical effects that looked like it was some sort of visual effect, but was actually just very, very good sleight of hand. Whereas Terry's were more focused on, like, kind of dumb but funny CGI and over the top.
Check out Old Spice.
Exactly. But I loved that commercial because they were just it was just one of those things that was really funny that they did.
Yeah, and of course, if you're familiar with Terry Crews, you gotta know the peck thing that he does.
He does the peck pop or whatever.
Yeah, the peck popping.
He flexes his pectorals and...
I don't know what to think when I say that. Like, it's cool, but at the same time, it's so abnormal.
It's not that abnormal if you can do it, of course. But,
yeah. But I mean, honestly, back in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I mean, Terry's character, obviously you look at him and you think, he's this big, tough guy who could probably crush my head if I irk him, which there is a moment in the new episode where he says something to Jake, and Jake kind of, like, fires back at him, and then immediately he's like, I'm so sorry. Yeah, don't hurt me. But, I mean, he's not that stereotypical, like, big, tough, kind of jockey cop. He's also a dad with now 3
Cagney,
adorable little girls. Yeah, Cagney, Lacey, and now Ava. He has 3 little girls. And, he's like the typical, new dad. He can't stop talking about them. He loves them. But what I also like is, he appears as a big tough guy, but he's like a big teddy bear almost. And there was an episode where he was trying to build a dollhouse for his daughters, And they later find him in the evidence room with the pieces scattered all over, and he's like, "This dollhouse has beaten me. I can't do it."
And of course, we can't forget, Terry loves yogurt.
Terry loves yogurt.
Terry will often say something that he loves in the third person.
Which, I mean, is also kind of a funny, unique little feature about Terry in the show.
Terry loves yogurt. Terry loves love. Terry loves responsible agricultural practices. And Terry's great. And that's another fun thing.
Terry loves paperwork? No, Jake! Terry does not love paperwork!
That's another thing I really like about the show is that none of these characters fit into their stereotypes. Like, it's
they really don't.
It's refreshing. Like, Jay Peralta, the main character, Andy Samberg, who's really one of the only in the cast I've known from something else besides Terry Crews. Mm-hmm. Like Andy Samberg in Saturday Night Live, and like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, and other movies, and like Hot Rod. He's just kind of...
Wait, who is he in?
He's Baby Brent in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Think about it, you'll hear it.
I hear it now.
You hear it.
I knew Terry was in that movie.
He's in the second one.
Then who was he in the first one?
He wasn't in the first one.
Well, I know, but who was it in the...
Mr. T.
Oh my gosh, that was Mr. T.
Mr. T was the cop in the first one, and then Terry took over in the second one.
Oh,
I personally preferred Mr. T in that role as well. But
Play like wood!
It's been a while since I've seen the second one, actually. But anyway, it's one of those that, Andy Samberg, his character Jake, most of what Andy Samberg that I know of anyway, he's kind of a goofball, he's kind of a moron or an idiot, or he's just loud and obnoxious. And Jake can be loud and obnoxious and kind of a moron, but he's got a lot of heart. He loves Die Hard. He will, it's one of his big character traits is he loves Die Hard.
Well, when it comes down to it, he does take his job as a cop seriously.
Yeah, he does seriously, and he's a good cop, and he's also, but I mean,
he'll try and blow off paperwork sometimes. But I mean, what person hasn't ever tried to blow off paperwork?
He's not like he's not like I'm trying to, how I want to say this. I mean, he's not a jerk. He's sometimes silly and things like that. And it's just, he doesn't fit the, the white guy the white cop stereotype. And Charles Boyle.
The ever loyal best friend.
Yeah,
perhaps a little too loyal.
And I saw a list on the internet about this, which is why I'm bringing it up, how they kind of define all the characters by, usually they'd be this stereotype or things like that, but that they're not. Boyle is very much into exotic foods, and he very much is the audience when it comes to the relationship of Jake and Amy. He's always there.
He is totally the audience.
Speaking the voice of the audience. Great.
Or the voice of just the fandom. The
like there's one moment, there's an episode where when Jake and Amy are together as a couple, they go into... Amy goes undercover in a women's prison to get some information on a guy. And they give her... And this is actually kind of a joke in the show. They give her, quote-unquote, a prosthetic baby bump to pretend like she's pregnant. And the joke is that she's not actually pregnant. But the joke is actually the actress, Melissa Fumero, in real life was pregnant at the time. And they tried to cover it up to the whole season by putting her behind things.
Which through most of the season, I did not catch.
We picked it up immediately because we knew the tricks from the Cosby Show, and they did it with Felicia Rashad.
Which I should have been able to pick that up, having known that they did that with Felicia Rashad.
They hide her behind characters or behind objects, or she's always sitting down, or what have you.
Yeah, and unlike Cosby Show, where they put her behind a gigantic teddy bear on the floor.
And at one point, they're like, they make a joke about it in the show. She's like, "Does this look real?" He's like, "It kind of looks real." And for those of us who knew, it's like, well, of course it's real. She's actually pregnant. But
that's why it was so convincing.
Anyway, Jake is also going undercover with Boyle as like I don't know what the OBGYN.
No, her handler. Was
no,
it her handler?
He was the doctor. He was like the...
Oh, I thought he had another name for
I think
it.
It's an OBGYN, but I am not versed in the medical practices.
Neither am I.
He was... I don't want to call him...
He was a doctor.
Yeah.
We'll just say that.
Specifically for her in terms of her pregnancy. That's what we'll say. And there's a scene where, like, they're kind of having some issues, and they're kind of arguing it out, and eventually they start to settle their differences. And Jake says something, sweet, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just worried," and, all that stuff. And Boyle in the background's like, "Oh, Amy, go to him." And then Amy says something back, and Boyle's like, "Oh, Jake, go to her." They keep talking, and why aren't you two going to each other? I'm like, this is the voice of the audience in this.
I'm sitting there going, I agree with Boyle, go to each other.
That's the thing, like, I think someone defined him, he's more effeminate, like, he's almost the most effeminate character of the entire show, but he's not the gay.
More than the gay guy.
Yeah. But like he's very emotional. He's very connected emotionally. He likes weird food and weird things. Boyle's weird. He says he says the most.
He
He says the funniest, but also
about.
the worst freaking lines in the show. Like, it's I don't want to. Well, no. This line, Morgan knows what I'm talking about. Cannot be said. It has to be experienced. Otherwise,
That's true.
It has to be experienced. And no one probably even who watched the show probably knows what the heck I'm talking. What line I'm talking? Because Boyle has a lot that are just very in context.
I only know because I've heard you say it a few times.
He says things that sound very sexual, but he doesn't think so.
Yeah, he doesn't think it's meant to be that way.
And everyone always gets after him about it, and it's funny, but also at the same time, it's kind of like one of those like face palm type jokes. But they're really, I mean, he's great.
Well, and my favorite, one of my favorites is his modified version of the Yippee-ki-yay line from Die Hard, and Jake Peralta's favorite movie series.
Yippee-kayak, other buckets.
And then he actually has the nerve to argue against Jake. I think that's the line, who is the biggest Die Hard fan out there.
I know, it's...
Like, I even said out loud when I watched it, I'm like, you dare say that to Jake?
And even then, there are some times when like characters would fit more into their stereotypes, but that's not their entire...
That's not their whole character.
That's not who they are. Like, some shows, like, this person is a jerk, and that's their character until we change it. This person is sensitive.
That's the Vulture.
Yeah, that's the Vulture. Yeah, the Vulture's a jerk. But he's on a second level of... He's fast douchebag. Like, that's where he's at.
Yeah.
But it's not just that this is one facet of their character and that's it. Like, some shows will do that. This person's sensitive and that's who they are until we change it in season 3. This person is angry until we change it in season 3. Like, that's kind of how it goes, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd agree, yeah.
And sometimes it is more of a gradual change. With some shows, I can't say some shows. Some shows are good about that. But they are multifaceted, three-dimensional characters, and they all have these different quirks about them. Like Captain Holt, who's the black gay captain. His part of him, he is stone-faced. He's pretty much a robot.
And that's also, they joke about it like, oh, the robot captain.
But he also says some really hilarious things, and when he emotes, it's funny.
Oh yeah, like he'll say like, I am just filled with ecstasy or whatever, and he just has the blankest look on his face.
I know, he's just...
Well, that was even something at the beginning of the new episode. He's like, can't you see
the expression on my face?
Yeah, can't you see what's on my face? And they're like, no, we can't tell what you're feeling. And he's like, but I'm doing this, I'm smiling. Are you sure?
Are you really smiling? And even his husband, Kevin. Kevin is actually one of my favorites in the show, and I wish we had more Kevin.
Really?
Kevin's hilarious. Because Kevin is much like Holt. They're like if Vulcans and robots had babies. They would get Kevin and Holt.
I never thought of it like that.
And legitimately, but they
are... Now, quick question. In their relationship, who's the Vulcan and who's the robot?
I don't know. I'd rather not say. Some of they together are hilarious. And again, another thing I like is that, they're married, and it's not ever a humongous, in-your-face deal. It's just a thing, and you can enjoy it for what it is. And honestly, Kevin's one of my favorite characters. I love him because he's just, the way he works is, I don't know. I just really enjoy Kevin on the show.
Well, and... Captain Holt he's just awesome.
He is one of the best characters in the entire show.
There was an episode, and now I'm blanking on the reason why, but Gina had made a soundboard of Captain Holt's voice.
The reason why was because she just wanted to make a soundboard of Captain Holt.
Well, wasn't he gone or something, and that's why she was doing it? No,
they needed to, I forget exactly what episode it was, but they needed to use it for something. However, Gina had just Gina's one of the characters. She, over the course of the show, apparently had just recorded random things Captain Holt said and made a soundboard that she could play back things he had said to make him say things.
Yeah. And so I remember seeing that episode and, we...
Oh, I do remember.
What?
It was when Gina was trying to set up Rosa with one of her friends. Because she had... She called called Rosa into the break or in the conference room by using the soundboard to make it sound like Captain Holt was asking her to go into the break or go into the conference room. That's where first met the Captain Holt soundboard, which later became an app in show, which is now
that's what I was leading up to. Is we
in the App Store.
Yeah, we got curious to see. I wonder if this is a real thing, and sure enough, it is a real app. Which
it's not in the same way that is in the show. But still, it's...
Because that was only just one word at a time. But this has whole lines from the show, which we use actually quite often.
Honestly, I mean, and the I won't play any for you because I don't know if it'll show up on that microphone, but also it's just funnier knowing the character and of course sometimes the context of what's going on, but honestly just knowing the character and having the soundboard is just, it's a great time. It's a hoot. It's a hoot and a holler.
Yas, queen. That is, for whatever reason, just one of my favorite lines. That's like the one time in the show that he actually gets remotely effeminate.
And that's in one of the very last episodes. Actually, no, it's not. It's in the last
I thought it was a little earlier.
It's in the last season.
Well, and, like, the only reason he does it is because Terry says to him, "Are you pulling the gay card on me?" And then he just decides to go for it. Yas, queen. And then he, does a little snap. Well, that's the
most quote unquote, gay he gets.
Well, like, and that's just another thing about, talk about stereotypes is anytime there's a gay character, they're, like, overly effeminate. Sometimes they cross-dress or, I mean, whatever. And, if that's how they want to be, then that's fine. But, like, Captain Holt was not like that. And the only way you knew he was gay was he said I'm gay, or I have a husband. But he wasn't, like, the very overly effeminate, fashionista type, gay character.
Not like that guy on Say Yes to the Dress. No offense to him. I'm sure he's a great guy.
Honestly, though, I love him.
I know, he's a great guy. I mean, he's your mom's favorite guy on the show. But.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, and again, that's just how those kind of, the gay community is pretty much stereotyped in media. Yeah, they're portrayed as very overly effeminate.
Sometimes it's true, sometimes it isn't. We've known people who are gay, and sometimes they're like that, sometimes they aren't.
Well, like, I knew someone in high school who I never honestly thought he was gay, and they...
I know who you're talking about, and I would have never guessed it.
Yeah, and someone was like, "Oh, haven't you seen him with his boyfriend?" I'm like, no, never would have thought that. Because, again, he wasn't like effeminate or anything like that.
And so that's one of the nice things about Holt is that he's not just a stereotype. In fact, they kind of almost go out of their way to break it for a good reason, of course. And it also has the show has a good way of bringing up issues, but in a way that's just like, again, not in your face. Like in today's, I run the risk of bringing this up on the show, but I don't care what anyone thinks about President Trump. I'm just getting really tired of always hearing about him. Like, every show, every news outlet, it's always either just criticizing him or making jokes about him. Like, everything these days, it's got to have some sort of, make this great again joke, or it's just got to be satirical. And that's one of the things that I like Brooklyn Nine-Nine doesn't always, like, it brings attention to concerns and to problems, but not in a way that that's what it's all about.
Right.
Again, I'm just getting real sick of always hearing about it. I just miss the days when we could just have funny. Like, we need to be topical, centered on the president. Let's just get back to the funny. And that's what I like about
not just the president in general, but maybe just politics.
Yeah. And again, the show does bring it up sometimes. Sometimes it is literally just one line in a joke that's just kind of like bring it up and kind of bring attention to it, but then we move on. And that's what I really like, is that it doesn't really fuel the fires. It doesn't, of course, put them out, but... It's a comedy, and that's what it's supposed to be. And, of course, they draw attention to the problems and to things they might want to see change. And I like that. Like, again, there was an episode where Terry was racially profiled by another cop. And
he wanted to do something about it.
That was the crux of the episode. And that, honestly, is a big problem. But there was only one episode on that. And it was done in a way that was honest, but also... What's the word I'm looking for?
I'm not quite sure what you're looking for.
I don't know what I'm looking for. Is it tactical? Tactical's not the right word. I don't know. A very good way of doing it, in my opinion. It wasn't like, let's start a war with the other media about this or anything about the sort. It was just like, this is a problem and it needs to change. And that was good. It was good. I like the way they did it because, yeah, it is a problem.
Well, and kind of back on the subject of its comedy, it's like, I don't want to say super, but... it's family friendly. Because there's a lot of shows out there where, yeah, it's funny, but there's a lot of, like, some kind of sexual humor or a lot of innuendos.
There is plenty of that in the show. Let's not pat it up too much.
I know there's innuendos, but it's not all the time. Because there are some characters I've seen in shows where, like, that's all they do is just sexual innuendos.
Well, yeah.
Or, some can't really have comedy without a lot of language. Which, I mean, yes, there's going to be language here and there, but again, that wasn't the basis of the comedy, is them, swearing up and down.
It ain't Deadpool.
And, yeah, it's not Deadpool. But I mean, that's just it. It's, pretty, I'd say about maybe 85% clean.
Yeah.
Again, innuendos and some language here and there.
There's some characters like Boyle, he makes a lot of jokes that...
That is true.
He makes a lot of jokes like that, and of course, I mean...
That's really, though, where all of that comes from, is just
Hitchcock
Boyle,
and
really.
Scully. Hitchcock more so than Scully. Hitchcock and Scully are the gross cops. They are more of the stereotypes. They're kind of the fat cops who like to eat pizza and donuts and lazy off. They are more of the stereotypes. Scully is kind of the gross one. He eats weird things. He does disgusting things. And then Hitchcock is the sexually disgusting one. And, yeah, that's where most of
Don't you mean Scully? You said Hitchcock twice.
Scully is the more... Like, he eats the weird food. Hitchcock is the creepy one. Yeah. But they're still funny. Like, they still have funny moments, and they're actually quite enjoyable in the show. They do those moments where it's like, ugh, don't.
Yeah, oh, jeez, why?
Their weirdness is also part of why they are funny.
Yeah.
I also wonder who's going to win the heist this year. Because I'm pretty sure they're doing a Valentine's Day heist and not a Halloween. Because they don't have an airing on Halloween this year. At least this season.
Oh, yeah.
So I wonder who's going to win the heist this year. So far, Jake's won it, Holt's won it, Amy's won it, Gina's won it, and then nobody won it.
I'd say Jake and Amy both won the last one.
Yeah,
because
engaged. Don't forget, Holt said technically nobody won this year.
To heck with that. Or if anything, I say the fandom won that one. Oh, come on.
Technically, nobody won the heist.
Oh, whatever. I'm still sticking with mine.
Possessing the greatest human/genius belt. Cumberbund, as Captain Holt put it. I almost think Hitchcock and Scully might win it this year.
Oh, please no.
If you're fans of the show and you're listening, please put in the comments who you think is going to win the heist this year, because I'm pretty sure it's Valentine's Day. They don't like to do repeats, so I don't imagine any of those first four are going to win.
Oh, and speaking of something that appears every season, we got to bring up one of the big ones, the Pontiac Bandit.
Doug Judy.
Doug Judy!
Those of you who are fans of The Office, Doug Judy is played by, I don't know the actor's name, he plays Daryl in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, one of the greatest characters. He's Jake Peralta's nemesis / best friend.
Well, and they almost kind of broke the fourth wall a little bit when Jake was like, was it Jake or I don't remember who said it. Yeah, Jake said I pretty much see him once a year.
Yes.
Breaking the fourth wall, the fact he appears once every season.
Around episode 12 every season.
You actually figured it out?
Well, we had it set out in front of us, so we just had to look. Around episode 12 every season is when Doug Judy comes in, the Pontiac Bandit.
Okay, we'll have to keep track of that. I'll be like, okay, it's almost season 12, it's gotta be Doug Judy.
Episode 12.
What did I say?
Season.
Dang it!
We're on season 6. And who even knows if there's gonna be a season 7? I really hope there is.
6 seasons in a movie.
I'd rather go for 12 seasons.
Duh! Which, by the way, that was a Community reference for any Community fans out there.
Yep.
Abed Nadir.
But yeah, Doug Judy, he's so smooth. It's funny because
he plays Jake like a fiddle.
He plays Jake, and it's kind of mean that he does, but it's just he has this very smooth style, and he's funny, and he and Jake have this amazing rapport and relationship that you almost
I don't know whether to call it a bromance or not.
It's a bromance.
But it's like, he's a criminal on the run all the time.
But he's always useful. Like, he comes around and they need his help with something that he can help
When
solve.
Jake always tries to tell him, like, you're not getting away, I'm taking you in. And he'll be like, oh, yeah, no, that's cool. And then in the end, he just slips out.
And 5 minutes later, they're singing karaoke together, and it's hilarious.
And then again, a few minutes later, Doug Judy just slips out of his fingers.
Yep.
Easy peasy, and gets away. And then, of course, Jake is frustrated. Doug Judy!
I know, it's just really fun, and he is one of the best parts of the show.
There is an interesting theory out there about the two of them.
Yes, Jake Peralta's father is a pilot who is, or at least was, very sexually promiscuous. Told Jake that he had 3 half-sisters. Said he didn't even mention the brothers. There's a theory that Jake and Doug Judy might be half-brothers. Which, honestly, if that was made true, would be awesome.
Well, and it would explain, how they're so similar.
Of course, Doug Judy would probably have to be old. I actually don't know what their age difference is.
I don't know either.
Between the actors, usually you can tell the character's age by their actor's age.
I mean, I think that's kind of an interesting theory, and again, it would probably explain a couple things about the two of them. And plus, I just think that'd be really funny, for Jake to find out, oh my gosh, Doug Judy is my half-brother. I don't know if he'd...
It would be both.
Yeah, he'd probably be both really happy and maybe slightly ashamed. I don't know if that's the right word, but just kind of like in shock, like, what? I'm related to the Pontiac Bandit?
He would start off being unhappy with it, and then he would fully embrace it by halfway through the episode, and then at the end he'd probably escape and he'd be mad again.
Yep.
That's how the Doug Judy episodes go, but they are very good episodes.
Again, any Brooklyn Nine-Nine fans listening, tell us what you think about that theory, if you think maybe it's true, or if maybe it's a stretch, or maybe if you've heard any other interesting theories about really anything about Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I mean, granted, there's not a whole lot to theorize about the show.
No, not really. Maybe there isn't, we just don't know it.
Say it's not like Avengers or Star Wars where you have to guess whose parent.
Be careful when theorizing. That's what people like.
Don't get too attached to your theories, because then it's just going to make you mad.
That's what ruins movies for you. That's why I'm not theorizing at all about what Avengers Endgame is going to be like.
I am a big fan of the show Pretty Little Liars. And
isn't that show dead now?
It's not dead, but it's over. But it's only been over for like a year. It's not dead. Trust me. But the big thing about that show is there was this, mysterious killer basically in this small town of Rosewood, and also who was tormenting these teenage girls that were the point of the show. And there were all, I guess, these hints throughout the show, to try and clue you in on who it was. But so many people were theorizing it's got to be this character, it's got to be this character. And then anytime there was a reveal of who this character or their accomplices were, everybody was always in an uproar because, oh my gosh, how could it be this person? Or, oh my gosh, that's just sloppy writing. And I was just like, that's why I never bothered to theorize. One, because there's just so much to try and pick up on in the show that you can't really keep track of everything, in my opinion. But I mean, I don't theorize because I don't want to end up being like, oh my gosh, that was a terrible reveal. It should have been this character, and I'm not satisfied. That's why I have no problems with The Last Jedi. Because I did not theorize anything, and honestly, I found all the stuff that happened satisfying. Don't argue with me on that. That's just my opinion. But,
well, here we go. I'm looking at one right now. People apparently are thinking Han Solo is coming back in Episode 9. But again, we're not talking about Star Wars today.
Yeah, no. But yeah, anyway, if you agree or disagree with that theory about Jake and Doug Judy, let us know. Comment or email us, forcecast327@gmail.com.
You could probably just put that in the description.
I know, but I don't know if everybody ever really reads it.
Well, you've already said it once today.
Well, people can forget. What else is there to talk about Brooklyn Nine-Nine? At least that we haven't covered.
Characters. I don't know if we have time to want to discuss them all.
Maybe not all of them, but we can discuss maybe a couple more. I will say not necessarily a specific character, but Jake is kind of a nerd, and so there's some nerdy humor that comes up that we appreciate. There's been Star Wars and Lord of the Rings references.
Plenty of diehards.
And total diehard references all the time. One of my favorites was in the episode where Terry's wife Sharon was pregnant with their third child, and she was like pretty close to being due, and she came into the station. Yeah, you know well.
You're gonna give this.
I'm not going to mention the one that you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. Anyway, she comes to the station, and Terry asks Jake to try and keep her away, or keep Captain Holt away from her, because he's just been kind of awkward around her and makes her uncomfortable. And then the way he described it, he said she compares him to the judgmental trees in Lord of the Rings.
Oh, that's not the joke you make.
No, I know the one you thought I was going to make, and I'm not going to say that out loud. But yeah, the judgmental trees from Lord of the Rings. And then Jake goes, they're called Ents. Duh. I'm just like, yes, thank you, Jake. And I don't know, I like the fact that they just called them the judgmental trees. I thought that was...
they kind of are. Is it good?
And this one I completely appreciated just because it was something I've been saying for a long time. I don't quite remember the exact scene or line, but pretty sure it was Boyle said something about the whole Luke and Leia kiss thing or whatever from Empire Strikes Back. The whole brother-sister kissing thing, and Jake was like, they didn't know! Which I've been saying that for years. Everyone keeps saying, oh my gosh, they're brother and sister and they kiss.
No one really makes that a big deal. deal.
Oh, I've seen some people make it a big deal, and I've been saying at the time they didn't know.
I've not seen really anyone make a big deal because they didn't know at the time. Yeah, it's creepy that George Lucas made them do that, but it's clear he didn't even know at the time.
I've heard some people say it. But it's something that I've argued for years, and to finally hear somebody say it, especially on a TV show, it's like, yes, thank you, it's addressed. But anyway, what other characters do we really
it's funny
like?
we actually haven't talked about. I mean, I love Rosa because Rosa's a different kind of awesome.
The one that just pulls out a giant butcher knife from out of nowhere.
Oh no, that thing was a killing knife.
Like, she is one, like, if she says she'll cut you, she will cut you.
And it's funny because if any of you know who Stephanie Beatrice is, I haven't seen her in anything really but Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But she is not at all like her character Rosa.
No.
Yeah, she's like very, I don't want to say macho or masculine, but you know she's got
tough.
She's a tough girl. She's got like a deeper voice. She carries giant knives on her at all times. And
I don't want to say she's morbid, but you know she likes kind of
sometimes
more slightly darker things. Again, like weapons and whatnot.
yeah, and her stuff's really funny too. But she also, again, she's not just the tough one. She's got a heart. She's the one who's bisexual. She came out as bisexual, and her stories have been pretty good. I'm not really good at this character commentary thing, but honestly, I really like her because one, she's funny, and two, she's
but then
part of the soul of the show. Actually, she's part
But then Stephanie Beatrice, who plays her,
is not at all like that.
She has like kind of a higher pitched voice, very girly.
She's very girly.
Like she has said, like in interviews, people actually don't believe me when I say I am Rosa.
Yeah, they don't.
Which I mean, I can kind of see why. But yeah, I find that funny. And fun fact, a few months ago, she actually just got married. And
yes, she did.
What I absolutely love this. The dress that she got, like the name of the style of her dress was actually called Rosa. And so she had kind of an homage to her character at her wedding, which I thought was absolutely incredible. And then, of course, there were some of her Brooklyn Nine-Nine castmates at her wedding, which, I mean, is to be expected. You know, they're a pretty close-knit group. But I loved that fact that, you know, she got a dress called the Rosa, of all things. Especially when there's like 1,000 different styles of dresses out there. And it was an actual gorgeous dress. I've seen some weird wedding dresses out there, especially from celebrities, but it actually was a very gorgeous dress. So, kudos to Stephanie Beatrice, and even though she's been married a few months, congrats to her on getting married.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
There's, of course, Amy Santiago, who we've covered a little.
She's
very much the stickler, but again, not just that.
She
loves to follow the rules. Her biggest boasts in life is that she skipped the 4th grade, and
she's almost like Hermione on slight steroids.
Yes, she's American Hermione on slight steroids.
We'll say she's American Hermione, but
her father, played by Jimmy Smits, also played Senator Bail Organa.
You just went Chris Traeger on us.
Jimmy Smits. And Perkins.
There you go.
I love Chris Traeger.
But like, you know, she's a typical bookworm, you know, total brainiac. Loves brainiac. I mean, like, you know, she loves binders. She loves organizing. She loves folders.
Very much like
she loves lists.
Very much like Leslie Knope, but with the binders.
Yeah, at least with the binders.
Very much a stickler for the rules. At
her
total bachelorette
stickler.
Party, they play Never Have I Ever, and she's pretty much the only one who doesn't drink because she follows all the rules. She reads the terms and, you know, she reads the terms and services on iTunes. You know, that thing no one ever reads. She reads that. You know, it's too risky to not.
The only person who's beside her who has ever read the term of agreement is Bilbo Baggins, and he fainted.
He regretted it.
Yeah. So don't even bother. Well, like,
No contest.
I mean, she wasn't just the brainiac. She was a good cop. You know, she did have some pretty tough, you know, badass moments. Hey, she went wedding dress shopping, caught someone. Yeah, she took down a perp in a wedding dress that she was trying on. In a wedding dress.
With the sash.
She didn't take her heels. No, she did take her heels off.
I don't think she did actually.
Okay, so she probably ran in heels too.
She took them out with the sash too.
Well, that's just it. Most people,
No contest.
you know, they'd probably be like, you know, oh crap, there's a perp out there, but I'm in a dress, what am I supposed to do? She was just like, oh heck no, and just took off running in this dress.
Got him good. Great moment too.
And Rosa was like, that was probably the greatest thing I've ever seen you do. Like, she was proud of Amy in that moment. And that's just it, you know, she can be incredibly girly, totally brainy, but she's also, you know, she's a great cop. She can be tough. She has a few of those good moments. And eventually she makes her way to Sergeant. Again, spoiler. And, you know, it's a huge accomplishment for her, especially for being, you know, a woman in the police force, which, I mean, I don't know nowadays, at least, how difficult it is to be a woman on the police force. But, you know, but for her, it was a big deal. It proved, you know, that she could do whatever she set her mind to, and she was making her friends and her mentor, Captain Holt, proud. Mm-hmm. You know, she's making her way up the ranks. And she's amazing. And honestly, I think her and Rosa, I think, are absolutely gorgeous. I'm just gonna say that. They are gorgeous women. Absolutely gorgeous. The only character I have a problem with is Gina.
Gina's not my favorite, yeah. She's sometimes just... She acts as an irritant a lot. She has funny moments and even some heart moments, but those are very infrequent for Gina. She's mostly just kind of a nuisance, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, she's just...
Chelsea Peretti, who does a great job with Gina. Yeah.
I mean, there are characters in a lot of stories, movies, TV, whatever, you know, that are vain, but sometimes they come off, you know, in a funny way. You know, like Gilderoy Lockhart. He was incredibly vain.
He was just a buffoon.
Yeah, he was a buffoon. But yeah, he came off as vain, but in a funny way. Gina just comes off as vain, just in a very annoying way. She's like, oh, yeah, I can't do that because I don't feel like doing it. And she has that very stereotypical, almost like high school girl voice. Yeah, I don't want to do that, you know, and that also kind of annoys me, in my opinion. But then, it just bugs me that she literally doesn't do anything at her job and is always on her phone, and I've gotten in trouble for that kind of thing at my own jobs, even when I wasn't doing anything with my phone. And so that just kind of, like, irks me, where it's like, I had to deal with this in real life, and yet she's not getting anything, and she literally has her phone right out in front of her, clearly doing something, and she doesn't get in trouble, but that's just...
Maura's got a personal vendetta here.
Yeah, that's my own personal bias. But, I mean, aside from that, part of me's just like, why is she even here still? I mean, she's supposed to be Holt's assistant, but she doesn't do anything. At all. It's a wonder she just still has a job. But I don't know. She's just one that just gets under my skin.
Yeah, she's leaving, and a lot of people aren't happy with that. There's actually a good amount of people like her. She's just not our favorite. She's just too irritating for me sometimes. Yeah, she's got moments that she's funny and that you really like her, but for us, more often than not, it's just
like, okay. Overall, really, if you haven't seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine, you've got to see it. You need to see it.
Your life is incomplete. Yeah. Honestly, one of the funniest shows I've ever seen.
And we've watched a lot of comedies. And this one is great.
It's also funny because sometimes when we watch shows, there are those jokes that get all of us that we just all die laughing over. Mm-hmm. But this is one show where different jokes have broken only one of us. Jokes that Dad finds hysterical, jokes that Mom finds hysterical, jokes that I find hysterical. Like we do break down all together, but there are some where it's like we find it funny, but my dad thinks it's so much funnier, mm-hmm. or it's like with my mom or with me or something else. But it's an amazing show.
Yeah, see, if you know anybody that owns the seasons, borrow them. If you have Hulu, find it on Hulu. Sadly, it's not on Netflix. I wish it was. That would have been easier for us when we were watching it. But yeah, just find some way to see it if you haven't. It's incredibly funny. It's super good. It's probably one of my top favorite shows now, honestly, which I have a lot of favorite TV shows, but it's definitely one of my top ones. And even though you can't see it, Austin is actually wearing an NYPD 99th Precinct shirt that he got for Christmas, which is perfect. Oh, we didn't mention this. When we watched the premiere, we all had sub sandwiches for dinner.
Meatball subs, because
meatball subs in reference.
Boyle owns a meatball sub food truck. We had Quazy cupcakes.
Yeah, we had Quazy cupcakes, which they had footballs on them, but
they were Quazy cupcakes.
They were cupcakes. Didn't matter. So Quazy cupcakes. We had orange soda.
Quazy cupcakes, for those of you who do not know, is the 99's version of Candy Crush that Captain Holt, the robotic one, gets addicted to.
Like insanely addicted to, and he doesn't even like realize it at first.
Yes, we had orange soda. Jake Peralta's favorite drink, orange soda. That's all we had.
Oh, I thought there
wanted
was
to
more.
get nibs.
Oh yeah, we wanted the nibs.
Terry got fat on little chocolate nibs once.
Which I just say Fat Terry.
Fat Terry is one of my favorite Terrys. Each character has different versions of themselves. So let's go fair. There's Terry. There's little Terry, who is Terry,
just younger Terry.
Young Terry. They have flashbacks. Flashbacks is one of the big parts of the show, part of their comedy, and one of them is little Terry, is young Terry. In his flashbacks, literally calls himself Little Terry. So it's kind of funny. There's Little Terry. There's Fat Terry. There's different versions of Fat Terry. There's Fat Terry before he got in shape, and then there's Fat Terry while he was addicted to the nibs. There's One Drink Terry, who
One Drink Terry
I think is one of the best Terrys, because Terry, after becoming a father, his tolerance to alcohol got very low, and so he has one drink and he starts doing
and he just goes crazy.
He starts doing the Carlton. Like, that's what happens.
Yes.
There's there's Amy's. Most of Amy's versions are
the drinks.
1 drink, 2 drink, 3 drink, 4 drink. She's got different modes though. She's got like super like hardcore librarian mode, and she's got very awkward, laid back Amy mode.
And then all inhibitions gone, Amy.
Yeah, they've got different versions of themselves. So yeah, I think Fat Terry's one.
Yeah, Fat Terry on the nibs.
And that's really not offensive anyway. It's just like it was one episode, and honestly, he called.
I kind of want to know how they did that. Like if it was
fat suit.
Well, they had the fat suit, but then
prosthetics. Same way they did the goiters.
Yeah.
This is Balthazar. He's an evil demon who spits fire in my throat.
There's Austin's Holt impression, another one of his impressions for you.
Not my best.
Hey, it's better than me. I can't go that deep. I'm a girl.
Well, yeah, you do higher, but you can probably do female impressions pretty good, though. It's different for everybody.
I know, but I'm just saying it's better than I can do. I think it's good.
Yeah, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Thursday nights on NBC now. It is Thursday, is it? I don't know what.
I'm assuming since it's premiered on a Thursday night.
Okay. Thursday nights on NBC for those of you who want to watch it. It's a new season, but they also have, of course, Hulu and other places. They give the DVDs for the original 5 seasons. In my opinion, one of the greatest shows on television. Mark Hamill himself went so far. He defended this. It got canceled for a day.
Yeah, for a day.
It got canceled because apparently people didn't think they were watching it, but everyone was watching it. So it got picked up again by NBC. Mark Hamill posted today a picture. He has declared himself one of the guardians of the 99.
Wait, he did that today?
Yes, I will show you.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's
go onto
cool.
Twitter or Instagram. Look up Mark Hamill. It's Hamill himself. He posted. Apparently, Sean Astin, Guillermo del Toro, Lin-Manuel Miranda, and Seth Meyers are the defenders, the guardians of.
Oh
99.
my gosh, I love this.
He photoshopped their faces on.
Please tell me you showed this to Mom and Dad.
I have not showed it.
You've got to show that
But
to
yeah,
them.
I probably should show them. Yeah, but apparently they are the guardians of the 99. I don't. It's very diverse. Sean Astin, Guillermo del Toro, and Mark Hamill are not 3 people I ever expect would be together in a room.
That's really funny.
So yeah, that's a thing that apparently a lot of celebrities.
Apparently a thing that exists now on the internet.
Well, a lot of celebrities did actually rally kind of around the 99 when it got canceled.
Which really makes you realize how much TV celebrities watch.
Yeah, you often wonder how much do celebrities watch their own things. Like
Well, either their own things or just like other movies or shows
like,
in general.
Paul Bettany has never seen Iron Man.
What?
He recorded his lines in like one sitting in an hour for Iron Man. He's never seen Iron Man.
Oh my word.
But again, it makes you wonder sometimes how often celebrities watch their own stuff. Like maybe
See,
beyond
I like watching my own stuff. Like
I love going on my YouTube channel watching it.
Yeah. Although sometimes every once in a while I'm like, why did I put that, part in a video or something, and maybe slightly ashamed, but yeah, I've heard some celebrities say I don't watch my own work, I don't watch that kind of stuff.
Which makes sense in some ways, but
and some actors, they're in so many projects that you're like, do they even get time, to watch other movies or shows that maybe they're interested in? Tell us what you think.
Yeah, tell us what you think. We're probably gonna have to call it for tonight, though.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we can finish up here.
Watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine if you haven't.
That's all. If you get anything else out of this episode, that's
99!
all. 99! yeah, so thank you so very much for being here tonight. If you like this, please like the video. If you loved it, subscribe. If you'd like us to talk about anything, or if you want to have a discussion, please email us or comment in the comments below.
Yeah, find us on Facebook. There's
several
YouTube
different ways
links.
we can do it.
Yeah, find us on YouTube.
So please, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to spread this and love to just get some more involvement. Of course, we know we're small now. Hopefully, we'll get bigger. We'll see how it goes.
Our next episode, again, I know we've mentioned this before. We're going to be recording Tuesday, Thursday night, uploading the episodes Wednesday, Friday. But next Tuesday, we're going to be talking about our favorite characters, basically just from anything, which really could range from a few characters to probably 1,000.
We're probably going to talk about a lot of characters.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a lot of things from different fandoms.
Try to limit it.
We'll have lists of specific characters to cover. Oh yeah, we're going to talk about our favorite characters from all sorts of media, whether it's books, TV, movies,
I think right now,
video games.
I think right now, just to get it out of the way, I'm just going to say Kevin's my favorite Brooklyn Nine-Nine character.
And I've said that my favorite was Terry, so there we go.
There you go. Well, that's one fandom out of the way, and we can just not talk about that next time. We're going to have too much to talk about.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to limit it, but join us next week for our episode on favorite characters and everything else that's going to come. Hope you guys are still enjoying this as much as we are. This has been your local Forcecast, and may the Force be with you.